Today on Growing Bolder, meet the Bubble Boy, a photographer who found a creative way to keep busy during the pandemic.
I didn't have an actual specific thing in mind, but as you go through life, as a photographer, you say, well, that's kind of interesting. One day I'm going to use that.
These abandoned horses aren't just getting a second shot at a safe and nurturing life, they're helping some special humans find purpose and meaning in life. And America's most beloved travel book author and TV host Rick Steves shares what he's learned about traveling the world from his fellow tourists. These stories and more today on Growing Bolder. We're not made to withdraw from life. We're made to seize each moment and to value every breath. We're made to be bold, to take risk, and to help others. We are the most creative, fearless, passionate being that has ever walked the face of the earth. Don't identify with limitation. Embrace possibility. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of what's next. This is Growing Bolder. Hi, I'm Mark Middleton from Growing Bolder, where we prove that it's not about age, it's about attitude. And the attitude that you want as you grow older is one of curiosity and creativity, because that opens you up to new experiences, new adventures, and new ways of dealing with life's many unforeseen challenges. Curiosity and creativity are two of the things that George and Cheryl Kamper have plenty of. George is a Miami-based lifestyle photographer who works all over the world. And when the pandemic hit, his work, like that of so many, ground to a halt, but not his curiosity nor his creativity. Oh my God, look at that. Flipping through the pages of George Kamper's portfolio is a look at the state-of-the-art of commercial photography. Wow. Oh, look at that. That's almost eerie. A look at how his work has elevated brands around the world. But when the pandemic hit, Kamper's shoots were canceled or postponed, and one of the world's greatest commercial photographers was stuck at home, looking for a way to express his creativity. Bubble Boy is here. And it didn't take long to find it. Bubble Boy, welcome to Growing Bolder.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here, Mark.
How are you enduring the pandemic? I know you've been concerned.
Well, we have our bubble, so all of our travels have been, in the bubble. It's been a lot of fun.
The fun began when George remembered that he just happened to have a 6-foot clear plastic bubble sitting in a closet.
I had purchased the bubble for a fashion shoot that I wanted to do in the future. I didn't have an actual specific thing in mind, but as you go through life, as a photographer, you say, well, that's kind of interesting. One day I'm going to use that. And the pandemic hit, and everybody on the news kept saying, and the bubble, and about the bubble, and this bubble, and that bubble. And I thought, I was like, I got a bubble. Let's take the bubble out.
The bubble came out and George went in. Working with his wife Cheryl, they began a weekly series of highly staged and exquisitely executed photos whose original purpose was simply to amuse themselves during a difficult time.
We started it out just because it was something to do, and George was curious as to how it would feel being in there. And then it just kind of exploded. People were seeing it on Facebook and on Instagram and just going crazy over it.
All these people were loving the bubble. So we just kept going, and it one thing led to the next. And of course, it was relatively easy to find material because every other day on the news, something else was happening. So we were able to, sort of capitalize on that.
For months, they shot only in and around their house. George shooting the photos from inside the bubble by remote control, and Cheryl helping with art direction and posing when necessary. When the beach reopened, they celebrated with a beach bubble and eventually hit the streets to produce the critically acclaimed Banksy bubble. Growing Bolder put the Kampers on the cover of our magazine. They've been interviewed by media around the world, and their Bubble Boy series honored with numerous awards. One day, the series will be just another page in an impressive body of work. Until then, it's been a great way to smile through tough times.
There are certain challenges that we all face, and if you challenge them with optimism instead of pessimism, you're definitely going to get through much brighter. And I think that being healthy and creative, they go hand in hand.
And hand in hand is how George and Cheryl Kamper are not only getting through the pandemic, but life in general. And together, with their creative and playful spirit, they're excited about what's next, whatever that might be.
Every day I wake up, I aspire to be a better person and a better photographer. Every day. You know, I'm not done. I think there's so much more to go. I'm retrenching. I'm thinking this next chapter is going to be the best ever.
The list of things that we haven't been able to do during the pandemic is long and it's painful. But George and Cheryl Kamper focused on what they can do, and because of that, their relationship is now stronger than ever. They're as creatively stimulated as ever, and without taking a single photo for a big-time client, the George Kamper brand has become even more well-known. So, what's the takeaway for the rest of us? Well, understand that as human beings, we are all wired to be creative. It's part of our survival mechanism. In fact, research that was published in the Journal of Aging and Health examined a variety of personality traits and concluded that only creativity has significant life-extending benefits. That's because creativity is simply problem solving. People who are more creative are better at adapting to circumstances and finding solutions that allow them to move forward without being trapped by the challenges of aging. That study showed that creative people live longer, which might explain in part why our friend Harold Rotenberg lived to 104 and continued to paint well past his 100th birthday. Harold's paintings hang in galleries all over the world, but no one has more Rotenbergs than Rotenberg.
This is Jerusalem, the old city of Jerusalem. This is Mexico. This is in Morocco. I did this in Kenya. I have painted over the entire world with the exception of Australia and New Zealand. But he posed for me in the middle of the street.
Do you have a favorite painting?
No. Do you have a favorite finger? They're all great. Every single one is an experience. Every single one I did from nature. No two are alike. Each one was a love of God.
Tell us the secret to living to be 104.
The faith in God. Don't forget it.
What do you want for your 104th birthday?
Another day. How do you like that? That's a good answer, isn't it?
That's a great answer. You know who else has great answers? Growing Boulder friend and contributor Dr. James Smith Jr. He inspires people and businesses worldwide to not just exist, but to be alive.
I love Les Brown's motivational quote where he says, most people die at 25, but they aren't buried until they're 85, because they spend 60 years of their life just going through the motions, just going to a job they don't like, being in a relationship they don't like, for 60 years. Not me. Not me. When I was in school, my teachers would always say, Jim Smith, will you sit down? Will you sit down? I'm 58 years old. People are telling me, will you? I'm wired. I'm wired to inspire, and that's what I do.
That's being alive.
Yeah. Breathing and living, not existing.
Such a great point, and interesting that so many feel the same way. Diana DeLano could not just exist either. In her case, truly living means doing something for the many neglected and abused horses out there. Can one person make a difference? Well, you're about to see. And as you watch, notice it's not just the horses who benefit.
So I'm going to go in here with Sage.
It's a scene that happens over and over again every time a new horse arrives.
So I'm going to approach and I'm going to ask her to let me touch her. So
Diana DeLano has to win their trust.
I'm standing sideways to her instead of straight on. And then I try to be as natural as possible.
She takes in horses that no one else will, like Sage, afraid, uncertain, and alone.
Does that feel good?
Still wild, still afraid of human interaction.
And that's a nice thing. She came actually closer to me.
DeLano has a way about her, slowly but firmly helping Sage overcome the fear of helping her feel safe, secure, and protected.
See how she saw that come? So she's still not ready for two hands.
This is what she does for horses who've been abused and neglected.
Come right here.
And without realizing it, she does with people, too. The volunteers that help keep the Wild Horse Rescue Center going.
So he would graze.
They, too, come from all over, looking for a place where they're needed, searching for a sense of purpose, wanting to make a difference.
It's amazing how many wonderful people come from the villages. It really is.
The Villages, Florida is one of the largest retirement communities in the country, just a short distance from the Wild Horse Rescue Center. It's provided a steady stream of people looking to lend a hand in any way possible.
And it was amazing to see their ethics and their enthusiasm. All right, you can shut that, thank you.
Even from people like Harvey Peterson.
Good clean water.
82 years old and battling dementia. Still, his wife brings him every week. Mary, I got to stand there and watch Harvey fill the buckets and take the water around. But I also got to see the magic that happened when Harvey would connect with these horses.
You want me to scratch on you, you know that? Oh, boy, he really likes that.
Start rubbing their heads and how they loved being around him. What does this really do for him? What does this mean to him?
Well, it makes life meaningful for both of them. And he comes home and he's happy. And it's just part of serving the dementia, just, you know, keeps it intact and slows it down. And everybody needs to be needed.
And then there's Kate Katay. She's just 22. So why is she here?
I actually get along better with older people. I've always kind of run with the older crowd.
Why do you think that is? What do you see that a lot of people miss?
I don't know. It's just the life experience, the wisdom. A lot of younger people tend to be out, I don't know, partying, or at least the ones that I've been around. And I don't know, I just like a good conversation with somebody. That's kind of what I look for in people.
Villages resident George Pusa agrees.
Well, now that I'm retired, I have plenty of time. So why not? I mean, I've done a lot of volunteering throughout the year and did a lot of community work, you know, while I was still in the service, and just used to volunteering. I just don't feel right just sitting at home. Get to hang out with these fine creatures and just enjoy it.
Feel right there. Feel how rough that is. Just run that hand right there, okay?
It's a message inspired by DeLano herself and the incredible story of how she's fought the odds just to keep this center going.
I've been fired 4 times because of my horses. I've been dumped because of my horses. I have had many people not believe that we could do this. You know, in 2007, I had cancer. Foreclosures were everywhere. I lost my job. So even when you have nothing, when you're down to like the last of stuff, you just keep on doing for the greater of good.
What about all those nagging things in the back of your mind, all those millions of reasons why it won't
I
work?
am Patty positive. I've always believed in the power of positive thought. This is a big breakthrough on her 5 weeks that she's been here.
For people watching the story, if they take away one thing, what do you hope they take away from this?
To keep a passion about things and believe in it, keep faith that it can, for the greater of good, and help those that need a hand up. You don't always have to give a hand out, but give them a hand up, just like these horses. I give them a hand up so that they can go on to their next life.
Well, there is something about animals that seems to bring out the humanity in people. Much like Diane cares for horses, Julia Sanchez volunteers at a place that rehabilitates injured wildlife. Knowing that she actually does matter is one of the most important things in her life.
I never used to worry about getting old. Right now, I am worried because I say, who's going to take care of the animals? I want to live forever so I can take care of the animals.
Good morning. She says, oh my goodness, what's going on this morning?
Carol McCorkle opened a rehabilitation center for birds of prey when she was in her 50s, and it happened because of a chance encounter with an injured eagle.
And that was the first time that I ever realized that you could look closely at a raptor, and you know, I just never really thought about doing something physically to help these animals once they got hurt. And that opened up a whole new world for me.
Is there something you've always wanted in life? I mean, really wanted? Well, go get it! I'm Cecily Wilson, journalist, author, and stroke survivor. All my life I've wanted to make a difference to help others move forward, but I wasn't doing anything about it. Just living my life and going through the motions. Having a stroke changed everything. It made me realize there's a clock ticking and that nothing just comes to you unless you're willing to figure out how to go get it. It made me realize that you have to be willing to fight for what you want. I had to fight to recover from my illness and to fight through my own doubts and my own fears. We're not the only ones. Slaves fought for freedom. Women fought to vote. Why can't I fight for myself? So that's what I decided to do. And remember my dream of making a difference? Well, I founded a nonprofit called WOW Legacy Group that supports women who are dealing with life's transitions. It's a struggle, but believe me, it is the most rewarding and wonderful thing I've ever done. So what is it that you really want? Go get it! Because that's growing bolder.
In all my years as a sports writer for a major daily newspaper, I was always impressed by how much the spirit and drive to win on the field could transfer to a spirit and drive in life. This is the story of a former college football player from the University of Florida who recovered from a near-death experience to be known as the Miracle Man, with a new goal in life, to inspire anyone facing a challenge.
And this one here was like a couple weeks before the episode.
The first thing you notice about Daryl Perry is his halting speech. His cadence is slower than yours or mine. The second thing you notice about Daryl Perry is his laughter. It is loud and joyful. It is the proud and defiant soundtrack of a man who came back from the dead.
I had always wanted to be a motivational speaker. So I guess God said, well, I'm gonna give him something to talk about.
Daryl's inspirational journey begins tragically years ago, when in the middle of the night, he began choking, gasping, and struggling to breathe. He went into cardiac arrest and lost oxygen to the brain for 7 critical minutes. Daryl was lifeless. Paramedics wanted to stop their efforts to save him, but his wife begged them not to give up. Perry says that saved his life.
Very grateful for that.
Paramedics used a defibrillator again and again to jolt Daryl's heart, and finally detected a beat. But at the hospital, he slipped into a coma, and there were few signs of life. A former Florida Gators football player, Perry had a strong support group by his side, including former teammate Tony Jones.
You know, when I got to the hospital, there were people there like Urban Meyer, Billy Donovan, and a host of other family and friends. And the lobby of the hospital was just filled with people that, you know, loved Daryl.
And then, 3 weeks later, against all odds, Perry woke up to a new life. But it was nothing like the one that existed before. His weight dropped by 100 pounds. He suffered irreparable damage to his brain, but somehow his spirit was fully intact.
It's very important for anyone who is facing a life-changing event is to stay positive. I don't care what's going on. You have to find the positive in it.
Now at age 52, Daryl draws upon every lesson he learned on the football fields at Jones High School and the University of Florida, where he was a bruising fullback and lead blocker for superstar Emmitt Smith. Step by step, word by word, Daryl learned to walk and talk again. He will always have limitations, but he's learned to take life as it comes.
This is what I use.
He taught himself to cook. His specialties include salmon, stir-fry veggies, and crab cakes.
It's going to be a great day, Daryl.
Oh, yeah.
Find it every time. Find it every time. That's it.
He even goes to the gym to work out. And as a divorced father, he still provides a nurturing touch to his 3 children, 2 girls, 1 boy, all Gators, including Austin, who plays for his father's old team.
Anytime God gracefully wake me up, I say, okay, God. So, you mean I got to get in the game again today? God will say, yup. So, I'm ready to get in.
There you go. Looking good, looking good.
His ultimate game plan is to reach out to counsel others as a motivational speaker.
Stay strong.
He has quite the story to tell. His message is quick and to the point.
Never quit on anything. Find your faith and go with it.
There you go. Good job.
And to those who doubt his ability to make the ultimate comeback,
You say, I can't do it. I say, I can do it.
His friends still call Perry the Miracle Man. Despite his condition, he is grateful to be alive, determined to be an example, and hopeful of providing inspiration to motivate and empower the lives of others.
If you want to talk about a traveler who has really been impacted by the COVID virus, look no further than Rick Steves. For more than 40 years, he's helped millions explore Europe. He's the host of American Public Television's Rick Steves Europe and also a bit of a philosopher. Unable to travel, he's hunkered down at home in Seattle, where we caught up with him and asked him to share some thoughts about life in general.
Something that my tourists have taught me is it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And age only matters if you're a cheese. So we don't want to have a youthful kind of get out of your comfort zone enthusiasm for things. Americans are really hung up on success, and they are quick to let other people to define success for them. And I don't think if you let other people define success for you, you're not really successful. I think you need to give some thought of what is to you successful, and then embrace life with gusto, embrace life with abandon, and on your terms, live your life in a way that when you look back on it, it's a success. You know, I'm thankful that I found my mission. I found my niche. We live in a world where we're privileged enough to enjoy the luxury of pursuing our niche. And I'm lucky that my niche is actually can be good business, and I can dedicate my life to this business in a focused, kind of out of balance workaholic way. And I've run that little artful gauntlet of turning your passion into a business, and it still is your joy and your passion. So I'm lucky I can be successful as a travel writer, as a person whose mission is to inspire Americans to get out there, get out of your comfort zone, venture beyond Orlando, and come home with what I think is the most beautiful souvenir, and that's a broader perspective.
Rick was very candid in sharing personal details about his life during the pandemic with us, how much money his business lost, how he kept his staff together, and what it was like spending his first summer at home in 40 years. You can listen to that entire interview and hundreds more at growingbolder.com/TV. As we age, we certainly gain a broader perspective. We learn that life is filled with challenges, and many of them are unforeseen. One common trait that's shared by those who continue to find passion, purpose, and happiness as they age is the ability to bounce back after change. Change is an unavoidable part of life, so we have to learn how to embrace it. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, when the winds of change blow, some people build walls and some people build windmills. So which one are you? Building windmills using change to generate the power to move forward is what we call growing bolder. We'll see you next time.
Watch previous seasons of Growing Bolder plus bonus stories via our new free streaming app. More information at growingbolder.com/TV. And you can get inspired to plan your what's next when you connect with the Growing Bolder community on Facebook. Show the world you're growing bolder with official Growing Bolder products. Growing Bolder tees and hats are available for $25 each. Custom mugs are $15, and inspiring Tear and Share postcards featuring original artwork and bold messages are $15 plus shipping and handling. All items are available at growingbolder.com/shop.